Hello and welcome to Blocs Master. My name is Elder and this is the new Blocs Masterclass covering the horizontally scrolled cards. And you might have seen that in my Freedom template. As you remember, I had this horizontally scrolling cards section, which kind of allows me to scroll to each left or right side. And in this video, I will show you how to make something like this. And obviously the design for the cards can be anything. You can follow one of my previous videos for Blocs Masterclass and build something like this. So these cards will be totally fine as horizontally scrolling cards. The reason I have this design here is actually, well, I didn't design it myself. It was from Apple's website. They have something similar here for Apple Events website. And as you can see, they have pretty much the same structure. So title, links, and some description, same as I have here. So let's go to Blocs. And from here, I will create the new project, cards, whatever, doesn't really matter. I will choose Bootstrap 5, but again, this will work for Bootstrap 4 exactly the same. So as always, let me put some simple structure together so we have something to work this. We'll add some footer, of course, as well, something like that. So to give it a little bit of distinction, I will actually make the color of this block gray because I want to have white cards, so we can go vice versa. I prefer when we have one color for the background and one color for the cards, so we can actually see them. I believe on Apple's website, yeah, they have white background and have some gray cards, but you can also do something like they did here, gray background, white. Well, this is not cards, but some type of cards also. So the first step, and there will be a few steps, is to actually design a card. And to do that, I will just select this column, and inside it, I will place div container, and this will act as our card. So to this div container, I will add the class card div. Actually, to the whole column, I will also add the class card column. And we will edit all of these classes later. But for now, I just want to establish the structure. So inside one column, we will have one div. And inside this div, we will have image for header. And under this image, we will have another div, which will be holding the contents. So for now, let's put there maybe heading and text. And well, in my template or on Apple's website, they have links here. So well, let's add some smaller heading, make it a link also, something like that. And yeah, let's add the classes to all of these contents. I mean, not all, but the sections. So the first section of this card will be image. So let's add the card image class, and to the div container, this is the content. I will add card content class. So now you can see that we have a quite big card, so it means that we need to set the width. And of course, there are multiple ways to do that. There are multiple ways to create this whole design as well. We can use column width and offset settings to create exactly the design we want. But for this video, I'm going to just select the div card, the main div for card, which has everything inside. And as you remember, we just added the class card div. And from here, I will set the maximum or minimum width. So we can use both minimum and maximum depending on how responsive you want it to be. Well, we can actually put it the same. We can just make that exactly what we want in width section, like that. Or if you want it to resize on different sections, and you can just place whatever values you want here. This is not the video about design for cards. You can easily do that yourself or watch my other Blocs Masterclass where I teach how to do that. I will be just leaving it like that. The only edit I'm going to do here is I'm not even going to edit the width for different breakpoints. I mean, not for this one, maybe for SM, let's make this, well, 300 maybe. And well, we can just adjust one of these and make it what we want. But let's say that I wanted to have both minimum and maximum width. And of course, for mobile, we will put it at 100 because we don't want it to be bigger than the viewport we have here. The tablet or whatever, or not the tablet, this is the phone, probably iPhone 4 or something. XS is very small, obviously. Okay, so we have image, we have content. Let's go back to large breakpoint and let's add some image to our project. There are a few images I have here from the Aperture template. Let's use this one, quite beautiful. And because we don't see any distinction between the card and the background, let's actually select our div container card class, div container card content class. And inside here, we will add the white background like that. And there are a few things we will change here, obviously. But one thing right away I don't like, of course, we need to have some padding from all sides. So let's add 28 or wherever you want, in your case, pixels of padding. Let's click done. And here we have a little bit more. And the bottom part as well has a little bit more than on the sides. This is because we use margin settings, as you can see. So I will get rid of margin for the heading and I will add margin to the text. So we have nice kind of nice margin between the title and the text. And for the link, let's name it Learn More. I will also get rid of the margin at the bottom, so they're kind of uniformly placed, these 28 pixels from all of the sides. And this already looks pretty good, but let's get rid of the text. I don't want to have so many words in our cards. But yeah, as you can see, we're quickly getting to our design here. What I've done in my template and what Apple is doing on their website, of course, we have these rounded corners for top of the image and bottom of the content. So let's do the same here. As you can see, I've done that to the Freedom template. So let's go to our image and we will add rounded corners. Again, I like 28 numbers, so I'm using 28. You can use whatever you want, for example, like that. So 28 on top for the image. Then we will select the div, this content, and add 28 to the bottom. Of course, you can keep them like you want. You can keep them square, but yeah, I think this looks good. And this will be the title. So awesome title, maybe a little bit smaller. I don't want it to be too big. And well, it's totally up to you how clickable you want to make this card. First of all, we can make this image clickable. So if we go to image and we can set the interaction to go to other page like that. Of course, we want to create this link and make it clickable too. We can also make the title clickable like that. And right now you can see it's not very beautiful, but we can of course add the card link class. And I don't like this underlining here, and I want it to be bold. And we can also make this black. We can also make this different color on hover. So let's make it, I have some blue here, so let's make it blue on hover. And I think this applies to this link as well. Maybe just make it a little bit smaller, something like that. And for the text as well, let's make it black. So this looks already much better. Like I said, this is not the video for card design, but I still want to show you how I've done this one, especially for this video. And you can see that now we have the link. The image works as a link. This link itself works as a link. And of course, we have this Learn More button, or Learn More link, which is also acting as a link. Instead of that, we can also, for example, add the stretched link class to any of these, and it will make the whole card clickable. So for example, if we add the awesome title, stretched stretched link. Now, if we go to preview, you can see the card becomes clickable, even the whole card. Right now, you can see it becomes clickable even if I have my mouse here, which is not good, but we need to go to our card here and in positioning tab, change this to relative. I showed all of that, like I said, in my masterclass covering the cards. And as you can see, now the whole card follows the link which we set to this awesome title. So for this particular video, I don't want to use the stretched link as Apple did not do on their website. You can see it's not clickable, only these links. And maybe you want to have more than one link, and this is the reason probably why they don't have it clickable. But yeah, so awesome title. If we want, we can add some effect to the image as well. For example, hover, we can make it, let's make it gray, like that. You can see on hover, it becomes gray. If we go to browser preview, you can see we can of course add transition to make it a little bit better. I did all of that in the previous video, so go back and watch how to make this smoother. Okay, so I think that's it for the design of the card itself. I don't want to change anything else. So now we need to figure out how to make this scrollable. So to do that, well, first of all, we will select our card and duplicate it a few times. And keep in mind, this way I am duplicating the div cards, not the column, which is also possible. But one of the ways we can do that, but I'm choosing to use divs for cards here, not the columns. And because of that, I can select the column, and I have this card column class we just added at the beginning of this video. And what I will do, I will go to positioning tab in class editor for this column, card column class, and I will switch the display to flex. You can see it already becomes something what we want. And the beautiful thing here, we can set the overflow to scroll. So now it won't be perfect yet, but you can see that we already have this kind of limited, but still scrolling to the left and right effect here. So one of the things we need to do right away is, of course, add some margin and on top and bottom, and of course left and right. So let's select our card here. And because we have added classes at the beginning of this video, we can always just open one class and it will apply all of the changes to all of the cards we have. So what I will do, I will add some, maybe 14, making it 28 in total, margin on left and right, and on top and bottom, well, again, we can add something. The reason why we need this, oh, sorry, I need to add 14 here. The reason why we want to have this top and bottom is because if we don't have anything, you can see that this line is pretty much overflowing the card design, and this is not what I want. So what I will do, I will add some margin on top and bottom. We can make something like 28 and it will be here, but we can also make something dramatic, for example 100, and this way you can see that it will be way below there. And there is another trick we can use to actually hide this. There are actually many ways to hide this scrolling bar, and one of them will be just using the negative margin for this block. So let me show you how to do that. We will select the padding and get rid of the padding because we don't need that. We have added the 100 pixels margin to the whole card, as you remember. And now, so now it will, the bar will be at the bottom of this block, which is already not that bad. I mean, I think I kept this in our template, freedom template. The scrolling bar might be useful sometimes. But if you want, you can, for example, select the whole block. And let's call this card block this time. And using the negative margin, well, whatever, 20, I think will be enough. We can hide it. It won't be hidden completely because, well, it is hidden completely. Well, you can see that it is there, but it is behind this next block. And yeah, we can't see it. So as you can see right now, we have the limited space on both sides. We have these kind of borders, but we can also change that. Well, first of all, we can just select the whole block and make it edge to edge. This is one way to do this, and it will be like that. So obviously no spacing on each side, which is maybe fine for you. I think the Apple website, they have it, so they have space on one side and then they don't have space on another side. So let me show you how we can do that too. So for example, we can select our block again, and in addition to, well, right now we switched back to contained width, and now you can see that it is starting from this side, so we have space on this side, but we can also select our column here. We have the class, and we can make the width for this column to, well, let's set the minimum width to 100. And by doing that, you can see that on this side, we are starting pretty, well, exactly where our website starts. But then on this side, we have more cars visible. And as you can see at the moment, it does not allow us to scroll to the last card because we have set the width to 100 view width. But because we have this space here on this side, it means that it is kind of eating this amount of space on the right side. So to fix this is actually pretty easy. We can just select one of the columns, get rid of the content, and we can move this to the last place in our column. So this way you can see when we scroll to the end of this scrolling card, you can see that we have space there. And of course, you can adjust it. You can make it much bigger. You can have a few of these empty cards there, and it will allow you to scroll pretty much anywhere you want. And same goes for this beginning of this scrolling cards, because on Apple's website, you can see it actually allows us to scroll this way. So what we can do, we can, for example, if you want, I didn't do this in my template, we can select this block, make it edge to edge, but then just have a couple of empty cards. Well, let's try this one on the left side as well. And this way, you can see that, well, we can obviously adjust it the way we want, but you can see that we can kind of start from there. Of course, maybe we should start from somewhere like this. You can adjust the width for the first empty card, of course. And as you can see, it kind of looks exactly like Apple's website. So maybe get rid of one card at the end of this column. So something like that. So, and we don't see the scrolling bar below there. So it's pretty much the same as on Apple's website. Of course, they have this effect there and this arrow here, and we can, in theory, place it there using the fixed positioning and some the index values, but I think that what we have here is pretty good enough already. So just scrolling on the mouse or trackpad on my MacBook works exactly as on Apple's website. So I don't remember if there is anything else I want to add. Well, for example, if you want, you can also add shadow to the image. Let's make it a little bit something like that. And if we have different classes for content and image area, of course, we need to add the shadow to both of them. So let's make it this way. We can add some hover effects. We can have the animations, which we learned in the previous video. But this is how you pretty much do this. The only thing you really need to keep in mind, and by the way, I don't want it to start from the edge to edge. I will just use the contained. So it is starting here, always like on Apple's website. And I don't mind that it is cutting off here. It doesn't really matter to me. So like that. One thing I want to keep in mind here is that on different breakpoints, you want your cards to be either bigger or smaller. So maybe make it a little bit smaller here. Well, I already have 300 on this, so it's fine. Maybe I want to adjust the padding. Maybe it is too much for this breakpoint, something like that. and especially for mobile, because now we have added this margin on each side. So I would, well, this is the padding for the content, so let's make this smaller as well. But then I will select the card, and as you can see, we have this margin on all sides, so we can adjust that as well, maybe make it smaller. And well, on top and bottom as well, I think it is too much for mobile. We can make it, well, 80, whatever. And here, as you remember, we set the maximum width to 100. Instead of that, we will put it to 90, for example, so it is not cutting off on smaller devices. And if we go to preview mode, you can see that pretty much looks great. I think everything looks great. So on different breakpoints, it looks exactly how we want it to look. And we've done all of that without using any code and just a few classes. And you don't even need all of these classes I have added to images, to the links, for example. The most important classes are the class you add to the div itself, which will be acting as a resizing and the padding class. And of course, the main class, which we added to the parent column here, which holds all of the cards inside. This class is using flex to make sure that we have this scrolling to the horizontally effect. And of course, the main setting here is overflow set to scroll, which is exactly what making our cards scroll horizontally. And a little sneak peek here, this is actually the technique we can use to make horizontally scrolling websites, which I might do in the future. Not sure yet if it is actually feasible to do these blocks, if it is a good idea. But this is what we will use if we decide to build horizontally scrolling website in Blocs. So thanks for watching this video. This is another Blocs Masterclass, which I'm really enjoying making. And I have a lot more planned and a lot more requests, and I get a lot of feedback, and it looks like you're really enjoying this as much as I do. And that's great, because I really hope this will be helpful to many of you. In the next classes, I will cover this navigation. As you can see, we have the changing color, we have changing logo, we have resizing logo, we have this smooth transition effect. There are quite a lot of things going on here, and I will teach you how to do all of that in the next masterclass, which will be available next week or maybe a week after that, depending on the template which I'm working on at this moment. The photograph template is also coming very soon. So thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions, you can always leave them in the comments below, and I will talk to you next week. Goodbye.